everyone. Welcome to For His Name's Sake. We're glad that you joined us. Today, Valentine and I are going to have a very casual discussion about biblical beauty versus how the world defines beauty. And it's not just about women, it's about men too. So we're going to go and get started, and please put your comments down below how you see beauty and what you do for beauty and that sort of thing. Just join in on the conversation, okay? All right, here we go. Okay.
Speaking of conversations, if we're not always looking at the camera, it's because we do want this to be more laid back, and she and I might talk casually amongst each other.
Yes, definitely.
And this has nothing to do with denominations or stepping on people's toes. We are just going by what we read from the Bible. And God can give you your own convictions on this subject. Don't just take our word for it. Do your own research. Search the scriptures for yourself. I always think that's very important.
Definitely, yes. Okay.
So, I guess to start off, I will read a first passage.
Okay.
This is from 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9 and 10. And Paul is speaking to Timothy about what he's observed women doing in a worship setting. Women adorn themselves in modest apparel. Well, he's saying that they should adorn themselves in modest apparel with propriety and moderation, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly clothing, but which is proper for women, professing godliness with good works. And I thought interesting, the word cosmeo is where we get the word adorn. That's the English word for adorn. And cosmeo is cosmetics.
Interesting.
So, whenever you see the word adorn, think cosmetics. And back then, of course, they didn't have our type of makeup and such. But I think it can still apply today.
Yes.
Propriety, when he says adorn yourselves with propriety, that's basically, is what I'm wearing appropriate for this occasion? What Paul was talking about in this case was the church or house worship. I think that can go today. I've seen, not to step on toes, but I've seen women and girls dressing kind of showy, inappropriately. Definitely not what I would call for a church setting.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Moderation. Are you wearing too much? Are you wearing not enough? And don't get me wrong, if you're saying, oh, but what about the poor? They're only wearing what they got. I understand that. I'm just saying, if you have the means, don't dress over much and show off your wealth. But then don't dress so casual where there's holes in your jeans and just not showing respect to the King of Kings. Imagine if you were going to a real king right in front of you. Would you dress as if you didn't care? I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned in another video too that just because, for example, just because we're homeless doesn't mean we need to be trashy.
Yeah.
Because we have seen some, and I'm not passing judgment. I'm doing an observation of some homeless people here that just, I guess they've given up on life and they just don't care anymore, and they're not caring about taking a shower somewhere. And yes, that costs a little bit of money. I don't think you can take well, I take that back. There is a public place actually that you can take a shower. It's just one stall, but nevertheless it's available, and I don't know if it's been known to people that you can take a shower there for free. But just to give an example that just because you're homeless or just because you're poor, it doesn't mean you need to be trashy. So here's an example. I used to live in Pennsylvania in my high school days, in a very, very poor town in Pennsylvania, and those people were extremely poor, but gosh, there wasn't an ounce of trash outside of their yards. That's just an example right there. Just because you're poor, just because you're homeless, does not give you an excuse to be trashy and not caring for your home and not caring for your body, not caring for the way you're dressing and that sort of thing. So that's basically what we want to talk about there. Especially
as believers, I mean, we are ambassadors for Christ.
Yes.
If a non-believer were to see a Christian dressing like the world dresses, well, they're going to think, well, then a Christian is no different than a non-believer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What we wear shows more I guess I could say, faster than anything else. That's the first glimpse that someone gets of you, is what you're wearing.
Yeah. And then alongside with that, sometimes we've been in churches and we've seen some women who have some cleavage and it's really hanging out of there. They've got a low-cut blouse on, and you can, I mean, if they were to bend over, you could probably see everything. And I'm just wondering, who are they trying to please? Some of those women are married and they've got their husbands right next to them, and then we wonder, are they pleasing their husband? Are they trying to get some other man's attention? What? And that's, again, that's a conviction like we're talking about, that can only come from God, the Holy Spirit convicting you of what you may be wearing is wrong or right, whatever. But for me personally, I've always wanted to cover myself up as much as I can, just because I don't like the chest area at all. I've always had this thing. It's between me and my husband, and only he's going to see my cleavage, if I even had any. I don't have cleavage, but if I did, whatever, that's just between me and my husband. So why would I want to share that with someone else? And the same with a lot of teenagers in today's time are, I've seen some teens, wow, their skirts are very short, and when they bend over, you can see
what you shouldn't be seeing.
Exactly. Again, I'm sure they're there to please the boys, but in a church setting, I would have to say for myself, I know Valentine would probably agree with me that that's probably not appropriate. But again, we don't mean to step on toes, because today's time is a different time period than when I was when I was younger. That, I mean, of course, there's always been beauty. People have always been the world is obsessed with beauty, and you need to be thin. You need to be, and I used to like model for just a short time, just amateur model, and of course there's expectations. You have to be a certain weight. You have to, and always keep that weight, and always exercise, but not for the purpose of so much healthiness, but more to look attractive and to be able to look nice in the clothes that you're put into and that sort of thing. And a lot of people put makeup on, and then jewelry. The other thing is jewelry. We don't think there's anything wrong with jewelry. Do you have your earrings on right now, Valentine?
Not this moment, no.
And I have my ears pierced too, and I don't think there's anything wrong with jewelry or necklaces. Same with necklaces. That's all part of jewelry. We don't have anything against that per se. Again, I guess it's just a conviction. Some people have that, and there's different denominations that will say absolutely not to jewelry, and we're not condemning them in any way. That's, again, a denominational thing within the church. Whatever your church says you can and cannot do, then abide by those rules, of course. But it's just mainly the world, like we were talking about a while ago, that sometimes in today's time, you really can't, sometimes you can't tell the difference between Christians today, in today's churches sometimes, the difference between them and the world that's out there. We're supposed to set ourselves apart from the world. We're supposed to be different. And Valentine knows all about scripture on that, not me so much. But
let's just say I myself am still learning this subject. It was worse in my teen years. And it doesn't mean that I don't think about, oh, I wish I looked this way or looked that way. I do still struggle with that. I think I'm speaking mainly in a women's point of view. I don't know, I'm not a man. I don't have your thoughts. I'm sure men, maybe you think about muscles, how you look to other guys, how girls are attracted to you. And since we're not men, how about you leave your own perspective on that in the comments below? And along with that, well, now you know that the prodigal person in my family is my son, and he doesn't have muscles like other guys did when he was in high school, and so he was made fun of a lot because he didn't have those muscles that the football players and the other athletes had, because athletics was not his thing. He wasn't into athletics. He's into piano and art and theatrical performance and that sort of thing, the arts. He's into the arts, even though he probably would say he's not into the arts, but he just has other interests. And yes, he exercises. We go to the gym and he exercises, and he knows it's important for health, but certainly not important for looks to attract whoever people are attracting these days. But
yeah, so definitely we would say that that's, in our opinion, that's just not, you shouldn't be exercising either way, men or women, to pump up your muscles or whatever so that you can, for the purpose of looking attractive, or the purpose of keeping up with everybody else in school that's got the big muscles to look attractive for whoever they're trying to look attractive for.
Right.
We're kind of against that. And then some men will take it to an extreme, and they'll take steroids, and those are probably the ones that are probably bodybuilding and that sort of thing. You know, the more muscles, the better off you are, that kind of thing, and that takes it to another level. But yeah. And then, I want to mention something about nail polish, because I used to hate nail polish when I was growing up. My mom, she always had her nails done, and it bothered me, and she would say, "You need to get your nails done, Martina," and I'd say, "No, yuck, gross." But now I love nail polish, but you won't see me wearing it. I don't wear it in public. That's just me. I don't like to show my nails with nail polish and that sort of thing in public. I just like to do it in my home. But since we don't really have a home now, and you pretty much have to have nail polish remover on hand, and they say don't put that near heat or flame, so no, and there's been a lot of hot summers here in Texas, so I haven't been painting my nails since, and my other daughter, she likes it too. She likes to paint her nails, but we haven't done it since we've been homeless, and that's okay. I haven't missed it. It's just fun to do every now and then. But I don't think there's anything wrong. I used to think there was something wrong even within the church, that women would adorn their nails. I thought, who are they trying to please? Who are they trying to look pretty for? But it's just sometimes, again, some people just like it. It's like a form of art. Like some people like to do tattoos, and that's a form of art to them, and they like that, and they think that's pretty. So we're not going to judge people who have tattoos or who have body piercings of whatever kind, or nail polish in that sense as well. But mainly we're just talking about just kind of, I think, showing your cleavage, showing your bottom for women.
Right. Keep yourself appropriate.
Right,
and
as a Christian.
And as Paul said, there's nothing wrong with cosmetics, the word adorn, but keep it in moderation.
Yes.
With propriety, which means make sure it's appropriate, make sure it's fitting for the setting that you're in. In this case, he was talking to the church.
Right.
And another thing he mentioned is where what is proper for women professing godliness. If you profess godliness, if you profess you're a Christian, then you will act in a godly way, with propriety and moderation, with good works. To God, that's the most important thing of all. If you're a Christian, your good works, the fruits will show. That's what's beautiful to Him.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the inside will show out on the outside.
Right.
In a way.
Yes.
What you believe, most people will put on that literally.
Right. And then along with like teenage girls, I would suggest that if you're a Christian and you're pretty involved in the church and that sort of thing, I would think that would be the best way to attract a male, a boy, or if you're older and you're a young adult, a young man, would be for them to see a woman who is very strong in the Lord. She's doing her service unto the Lord. I would think that that's more attractive than, than beauty at this point, and making yourself look whatever the world is asking you to look attractive for. And then, kind of like my husband and I, if you watch How My Husband and I Met, we weren't attracted to each other at all in the beginning. I mean, my husband said he was attracted to me, but I wasn't attracted to him at all as far as physique is concerned. But I loved his heart. He was a sweet man. He's still a sweet man. He's gotten a little grumpy, and just because we're grumpy and when you hit 55, I think you reach that grumpy stage. I'm sorry, but my husband's not gonna like me saying this, but but he's still a sweet man. He has a good heart, and that's what I was attracted to. That's what actually I was like, wow, this man cares for me. He loves me, and he has a good heart, and he likes that I'm his best friend, that we can tell each other anything and everything and feel comfortable. So I think that's what I would hope that's what biblical men are looking for these days in a future wife per se. They're seeing that her service unto the Lord, that she's a strong woman of faith, and that sort of thing. And then the physical part of it will will come in later. That's what I would think, right? What do you think?
I agree.
So,
And there's nothing wrong with being attracted
right
to each other, but
Of
the
course.
heart comes first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To go along with that, another passage from 1 Peter. Peter was speaking to a group of believers, and he said, "Do not let your adornment, cosmetics, be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather, let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God." That's the inward part again. The Lord loves our hearts. He's the one who can see intimately into it. Not even your spouse can see deep into your heart. Only the Lord can see that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful scripture.
I love that
didn't even know about
passage.
that one. Wow,
It's beautiful.
you'll have to write that down for me later.
I will.
We'll have
And to go along with inward outward, you guys probably know this famous passage when Samuel was going to anoint King David. Before he knew it was David, all these other fine men passed by him. He's like, oh, that's got to be the one that the Lord's going to anoint to be king. He's so strong and muscular. But verse 7 of 1 Samuel 16, the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees. For a man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart."
Definitely, yes.
And I
Definitely.
wish that I had followed that first when I was a teenager. Okay?
Are you going to tell them about what you did
I'm
to your hair?
going to tell
Okay,
you guys.
okay.
Okay, well, to start off, I was, when I was a very little girl, I had very blonde hair. And I love blonde hair. I think it's very pretty.
Yeah.
When I turned about 10 or 11, my hair darkened very quickly. I took after my dad. He was born a blonde, and his hair darkened to brown. And I wanted to look like my German grandmother. She's very pretty. She used to be a model, and she has blonde hair. And not to talk bad about my grandmother, but she was very into outward appearances. Not a believer, so what you wear, what you look like was very important to her. And I wanted to look like that too. And when I went to high school, the pressure was on even more because all these other girls around me were dyeing their hair as well. And putting on makeup and eyelashes and this and that, looking pretty and thin and all that. So, when I was 16, I dyed my hair. And it was supposed to be a reddish color. It didn't turn out red. It turned out orange. An orange red. And I'm not making fun of those who have orange hair. I think if you have a natural reddish orange hair, it's
that's pretty.
beautiful. But God did not make me to have red hair. So when
Orange
it,
hair.
yeah, so when it went on to my scalp, it was not attractive at
Did it
all.
hurt? Didn't it burn your head
Yeah,
too?
it was a natural dye, but I do have a very sensitive scalp. And to this day, I think it has contributed to scalp issues.
And probably dry hair.
Dry
Yeah.
hair too.
I did the same thing when I was her age, a teenager. I colored my hair, was bleach blonde because I wanted to look like my mother, the model. She hasn't had natural blonde hair, but I didn't. I had brown, dark brown hair because my father's side is very dark brown hair. So I did the exact same thing, but it caused knobs, bleeding knobs on my scalp from all that coloring. And I think to this day, that's why I may have long hair, but I'm losing my hair in chunks. Valentine can attest to that. I think it's just from over coloring it. And this gray hair that you see coming in, that's the natural color. And yes, I did color my hair brown. This is not my real hair color right now. It's because I was turning gray and I didn't want to be gray. So there's an example of me being worldly and wanting to look like a young person and not an older person. Gray hair is for the elderly, not for people in their 50s. That's what my mentality was 2 years ago. But then I thought, you know what? No, I want to be I want to be natural. I want what God is giving me, and He's giving me gray hair right now. So that's what I want. And so slowly but surely, I'm letting this brown hair, fake brown hair. I mean, it was a natural color. Natural meaning it says it was a natural hair color, but it's still something you paint on your hair, so it's not natural in the sense that God gave it to me. No. So I'm letting this grow out, and when it grows out, I guess I'll just be white or gray. So just the way the Lord intended it to be. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I did want to say something real quick about makeup. We didn't talk about makeup too much. You know, again, that's a conviction. I did wear makeup up until I was homeless. I would just wear just the basics. I mean, I didn't do the foundation and all that, because all of those things are very how do I say, irritating to my skin. I have I have a lot of irritations on my skin, and so the less amount of things I put on there, the better off I am. And I think Valentine would say she's probably the same thing. She got that from me. And so all I would put on would be some blush, some eyeliner, maybe some lipstick, if even that, and some gloss, and that's it. No eyeliner, because again, it would get in my eyes. No what do you call that eyelash stuff? Mascara. Can't wear that because it would get into my eyes and I'd start having allergies. So if you have allergies and you wear makeup, maybe that's a sign to not wear the makeup. I'm sure that you have beautiful eyes just the way they are, the way that God made you. And so since we've been homeless, I don't wear makeup. I don't see the point. I mean, I don't really, you know, and again, it's a conviction, because even when I was living in a home, I was wearing less and less makeup, just because I thought, you know what, I need to just be beautiful for my husband. I really don't need to be beautiful for anyone else but him. So, and God, of course, you know, God loves you the way you are, without all that extra makeup and that sort of thing. So, yeah. So, but anyway, so if you're wondering why I'm two-tone hair color, now you know why. This is not real brown. This is a fake color that I'm letting grow out. Yeah.
And even though this hair color is unique, it is finally my own natural. After that orange dye, you would think I would have learned my lesson. I didn't learn my lesson at all. I went to another dye. This time, I made sure it was going to be a blonde dye, because I was still into the blonde. I was born a blonde, and my German grandmother was gorgeous, and she had blonde hair too, although she dyed it. But she still looked good in it, so of course I wanted to wear it too. And yeah, it was pretty and all, but it was still irritating my scalp, and you have to keep dyeing it. I mean, this is pretty, you can't really see it, but this next to a blonde, it is not really pretty, so I had to keep dyeing to make sure the brown didn't show. Yeah. And of course, I liked the compliments when I finally did turn to a blonde. The girls would say, "Oh, Valentine, I love your hair color. It's so nice looking on you." Oh, that just made me more prideful and more arrogant.
And then I want to say a quick little story on that. We had some neighbors one time in a home we lived in, and they were teen boys. And this one teen boy had invited one of his friends over, and when Valentine stepped out of the car after I had picked her up from high school, this one other guy said, "Wow, who's that?" And he was just, he was just mesmerized with Valentine, like, wow. And the guy said, "Well, that's my neighbor, Valentine." And he goes, "She's beautiful." And he almost fell to the ground. He almost melted right there where he was standing. So, and then another, in the mall, we were walking in the mall one time, and another teenage guy was obsessed with her beauty, and he wasn't watching where he was going, and there was some steps going down, and he was with his friends, and the friends were paying attention to where they were going, and they took this, were watching the steps, but he wasn't. He was so in love with her beauty that he actually tripped down the steps. Thankfully, it was only, just 2 or 3 little short ones, but he did land on the ground, on his knees, and they were laughing, and he goes, "Oh, I was busy looking at that girl." So, I mean, she was beautiful to the world. Yeah,
right,
so,
to the world.
Yeah.
But even that still wasn't enough for me. Not until I went through a major hair damage, to where the barber said, "Your hair is dead or it's dying." So eventually, finally, once enough of the brown cut off, it still wouldn't go completely down to where it should have been, where I could be all brown. There was still blonde here and there because it was dead. It just would not come off. So I remember that the barber, she was scared to cut around my scalp because it was going to look like an odd haircut, but she had to get that blonde off me. And I am not making fun of anyone who is watching and they have dyed hair. That's great if it works for you. It just didn't for me. Right. I think it was because the Lord knew I have a sin issue with hair. I love to look at hair. I think it's very pretty. But it was becoming like an idol. Beauty was an idol. And I think especially in high school. If you know, you know.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's the same for older ladies as well. Let me know in the comments. I'm only in my early 30s, but even now you can't really see on the camera. But every now and then I can see a white strand. But I'm okay with it now. I think my hair is beautiful.
Yeah.
And this time I know it's natural, and that's just the way God created me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Nor am I making fun of those. When I was talking about being skinny, I do know that there are girls who struggle with eating disorders.
Right. Yeah.
That's a deception of the enemy, and he has pressured these girls to look a certain way, and they are blinded. But I'm not making fun of you, because at a time in high school I wasn't anorexic, but I was eating less. My mom probably doesn't remember. I did it so subtly, but I do remember my dad said, "Are you trying to be anorexic?" You know? So after
Right.
that I was like, no. Plus the kids were immature at high school anyway, so why would I want to dress like them or act like them? Not very appropriate
Yeah.
in the eyes of God. So remember, anything that we just said, just pray about it, read the scriptures, and
Yeah.
let us know what you think.
Please do.
Yeah, and I'm sorry guys that we were talking more from a lady's perspective. We
Yeah.
did try to get Daddy to talk, but he's more comfortable doing singing in shorts.
Yeah.
So
And he actually told us, you gals, you do it, because I think I would be the third wheel, and we say, no, that'd be fine. You could join in on the conversation. But so he's the one that kind of suggested that we do this talk.
unless you could persuade him to
Yeah.
do it from a man's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I think that's all that we had to share.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. And a big hello to our new subscribers. We're so
Yes.
happy that
Hello.
you're here.
Yeah.
And please hit that like button and subscribe if you will. And click that notification bell that lets you know anytime a video comes out. And we hope that you have a blessed day.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.